Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Marvel episode of Iron Panther Presents. Today, we're going to be discussing Secret Invasion and what we thought it was going to be and what it turned out to be. And what does this mean for the MCU? Like, these are the things we shall be discussing. As you see, Chris is disgusted and sad about what he watched. Before, real quick, Chris. If you watch us, you know we're Power fans, Power Universe fans. I told Chris, I told the crew, the expectations I had for this show was what I had for Power Book 4 when I heard Tommy was getting his own spinoff. And I said, this is going to fix the Power universe. This is the one we're looking forward to. And after all the Marvel series we've watched, after fucking She-Hulk, I said, Secret Invasion is going to be it because fucking Nick Fury's coming back and he's going to take it where it needs to be. Hey, Chris, how did that work out?
It did not at all. It fell flat, man. It's like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football flat. Like didn't leave the ground at all. Wow, like what a catastrophe, man. Like I was the same boat as you. I just knew this was going to fix it. Not to mention, anyone who's a Marvel fan knows that like Secret Invasion is like arguably one of the most best issues ever created by Marvel. And mostly because of the whole thriller aspect of like it was literally the Marvel version of Body Snatchers. Like, how do I know you are who I think you are? And it's just more conspiracy, like guns pointing at each other, like you're not who you are. Oh no, you're not who. It's like who's who? You know what I mean? That's what I thought we were going to get, and that's what was so compelling about the comic book. You know what I mean? Like you're like you got Luke Cage like about to like pummel Captain America. He's like Steve Rogers doesn't talk like that. Who are you? And he's like, yeah, it's like, and then you got Hawkeye about to shoot Luke Cage. He's like, wait a minute, like Luke, you don't like. It's like you who can you trust? And I know that most of the superheroes are like either dead, retired, or just everywhere else. But I at least thought like the characters that we did have, it would just be like I said, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There's another movie I'm just drawing a blank on. Oh, like The Thing. If you saw The Thing, great horror film.
Yeah.
Same deal with the whole like the petri dish thing with the whole like yo, this is heated. If I touch this blood here, I'm gonna take someone's blood. If the blood reacts, you are an alien, and we're going to like that whole thing. None of that happened. It turned into a freaking thing of goobleglash of a mess. A movie starring freaking Samuel L. freaking Jackson and Don Cheadle and Daenerys. and like
and Danny. We got Danny.
Yeah, like,
it's like, the Mother of Dragons came back for some reason.
And now, if anything, it made it work. It made it like I think you said it in the beginning when introducing us. It kind of made it worse as far as the future now. Like, do we pretend like this show doesn't happen now? As it's its own thing? Because the way it ended, it makes certain things that happened in the past and the stuff happen in the future like not make any sense unless the writers be like, psych, like this is a fever dream. Captain Marvel had a dream about this or something. Yeah. Sorry, go.
I hear you, bro. Like I was disappointed because at this I said this about She-Hulk. I said this about She-Hulk. I said Miss Marvel was better than She-Hulk. Miss Marvel was better than Secret Invasion and actually more relevant to what they're trying to do because in November we got the Marvels coming. So this should have been the time that Miss Marvel was on TV because that preps for what we're about to see. Because Carol Danvers is sitting in Kamala's house right now, like according to that show. So this would make sense about why we're about to see all three of them on Saber. And like this did nothing for the Kang story. This did very little for the Marvel story because unless truly the Marvels is going to be about this Kree request for a treaty or some silly shit that Nick Fury, of all the people in the universe, Nick Fury has to help negotiate this. unless that movie's gonna be about that, this meant nothing to any of the big things coming forward. And like I was sorely like disappointed. And to retcon the scrolls into the rise of Nick Fury since the 90s, quote, everything you've done has been because of us, because we were feeding you that intel. This doesn't make any damn sense. Like the whole MCU doesn't make any sense at this point.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? It's funny. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of Captain Marvel, the movie Captain Marvel. However, one thing I did appreciate about Captain Marvel was because in all the comic book versions, Skrulls are always seen as evil. They're always bad guys, evil. But then Captain Marvel turned Skrulls to be more of like refugees. They're basically like refugees who are like, we need somewhere to stay. And I like that change. I did like that change. And you saw that kind of be sprinkled in other films or whatnot. And, you know, like small stuff like, was that No Way Home? I think was a Far Away from Home.
Yeah, no, far from home. Far from home. Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, you know, stuff like that. Like it's just more of just like this is how we live. And then so you have this whole refugee story, and then you have Nick Fury basically turns like indentured servants. Like, hey, you go over there at the end of it, like you go do cleanup stuff, and I know I promised you you're gonna have your own home, but and then here's the president just gonna be like, oh yeah, we're going to declare war on all y'all. And I was like, damn, this is like exact opposite of what the whole idea of refugees should be. Like at least in Falcon and Winter Soldier, with the whole idea of the Flag Smashers and what the ideas of what they wanted, it made more sense than this. And in this one, it's just like you made everything, even in Captain Marvel, you make these guys just like basically just like, yeah, I know we said they're refugees and that these guys are innocent folks, but now they're enemy number one to the U.S. to the entire globe now. What? Like, why would you do a switch like that? And then it's just so counterproductive. And then especially if you look at the history of like what happened in our country, with everything from like both slavery and then even what's going on now with like certain things, like the way, because I felt like I was trying to say like, you know, the country, like the Nick Fury's operation of Shield was on the backs of Skrulls, right? Does that sound familiar as far as like what the country's built on the backs of? You know what I mean? And then they just basically is like Nick Fury just like shit it on the Skrulls at the end. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go back up to space. Like, no, they're in worse shape now than they were before. Where you going? You better clean up your damn mess.
No, but so you bring up Captain Marvel, right? Captain Marvel, and then Stephanie had to remind me of this because I was not going to go back and watch that movie, but she had to remind me that ended with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, flying out into space with Talos and all the other Skrulls, and she said, "I will find them a planet."
That was in 95, right?
That was in 95. Like, so we get this. This does nothing to explain why Carol at some point just said, "Fuck it. Y'all figure it out. I'm going to just keep on flying because I got tired of this." Like, she's not. It makes no sense. This should have been her story. They should have been mad at her. If anyone, they should have been mad at her. Like the fact that she's not even mentioned in their anger. The fact she stopped after 5 years, she stopped after 6 years, and now we're blaming you, earthbound human, for not finding us a planet. Like this doesn't make sense. Like it, and then
it made the bad guys actually like seem a whole lot more rational. Like Gravitas, like I can kind of understand why he's like pissed off at Fury. Like, you know what I mean? Like, huh? Like, no, man.
He should be upset at Carol. Like the anger, all this anger should have been focused on Captain Marvel. Like at period. Because Fury never promised them a planet. That was her.
Right.
So I'm like, we don't see how he's somehow responsible. But to your point of indentured servants. Let's go with that storyline. Okay, let's say it's like Captain Marvel didn't even happen, or the ending of Captain Marvel didn't even happen. The Skrulls came to Earth. They're refugees. They go to Nick Fury for help, and he says, "I'll find you somewhere to live somehow, but you got to work for me." And Gravik is one of the many people he sent out to murder people, right? But and to build his career. But you mean to tell me that the Skrulls did not figure out that Hydra was Shield? Like they never put two and two together?
Yeah, like where were they? Like where were they behind all that? Like were some of them secret, like Hydra, like you said, or like what's going on?
Wait, but hold up. Let's just stick to that movie. Let's just stick to Winter Soldier and how this totally destroys Winter Soldier. Because when Nick Fury is presumed dead and assassinated, where's his Skrull wife Priscilla? Where are all the other Skrulls to come to his aid when he has to take back Shield?
Right.
We're supposed to be totally amazed that Black Widow had a piece of technology that changed her face. Oh my God, they can put on new faces? I got Skrulls. They can just become anyone. Like, none of this happens. Like, what are we doing? Like, what? I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're doing too much.
I feel like the whole thing with this, I feel like with the Skrulls, what they should have done is, for one, they shouldn't call it Secret Invasion. All right, it shouldn't have been Secret Invasion. And if you do Secret Invasion, since we're already kind of done with the whole Avengers thing, right? Obviously, the huge thing about Secret Invasion with the whole superhero, like was the whole like who's who, is that you had like the Skrulls acting as superheroes. I felt like if you at this point, if you would have done Secret Invasion, should have waited until you introduced like other characters like West Coast Avengers and the X-Men. Wait until we had the X-Men, then maybe do this. All right. But then we're just like, oh no, we got this for you. Right. And I don't know why I fell into this trap again, just thinking like this is gonna be great. And now we got what Secret Wars coming up too. And at one point I was excited about it. Secret Wars is another big, huge event. And after seeing this and seeing, I don't feel that very optimistic with what we're going to get with Secret Wars. You know, especially like I don't know, like even there were like hints even with She-Hulk saying like, oh, you get to see Hulk's son, like the ravenous, Scar, and then Scar is just like ended up at a Toretto cookout at the end of Fast and Furious, like, hey, what's up? I'm like,
what?
Huh?
What happened?
What are we doing? Like, so is this supposed to make me excited about Thunderbolts? This is what's supposed to make me be excited for Captain America: Brave New World? No, like what? No.
But okay, but but there's you're all true. So that's more like what's wrong with the future of Marvel. Like what's wrong with this show is that they're not acknowledging the other stuff. Like they don't acknowledge Captain America again. We talked about. They don't acknowledge Far From Home as you brought up, because Talos and his wife pretended to be Nick Fury and Agent Hill.
Yeah, poor Hill.
This is never addressed. Like, why did they do it? Why? I mean, like they don't say thank you. Like, what? None of that is explained. Like it again, it's like it never happened. It's like none of this stuff ever happened. And then Saber, we don't see Saber. We don't know how long it's been up there. We don't know how he built it, because you would imagine Stark Technologies built that shit. Like you would think. But none of this. And you know who's up there? Do you know who's up there?
Marvel.
Monica Rambeau.
Yep.
Because if you watch WandaVision, at the end of WandaVision, Hill comes down and says what? He wants to see you. And then she supposedly beams up to Saber. So where is she at in this fight? She is not. It
was as if they filmed the Marvels right after they finished Mrs. Marvel or WandaVision or something. It was like it's like that, and Secret Invasion was too, bruh.
It don't make it. And then if you watch the shows, if this is supposed to be sequential, right? Carol is in Kamala's house right now because Miss Marvel should have already have happened. and
Mm-hmm.
they've already switched places. So Carol should be on Earth, technically. So why is she not in this fight or called down
Yeah.
to assist? Because this is your problem. You did
Well,
not find them a planet.
and that was a huge problem I had with it. I mean, like, granted, I know that's the danger. This is the danger that I find a lot of movies and shows have when you have someone that's too super powered, right? Uh, which is why, like, even when it comes to DC comics, I know he's a staple, whatever. But like, sometimes we have Superman in a movie, in my opinion, sometimes or a show, it's like it can be problematic unless you got someone like Doomsday level, right? But when they introduced Captain Marvel, I was afraid that it was like she's so powerful, especially well, her and Monica Rambeau. Her and Monica Rambeau are very, very powerful, right? It's just like when you do all these other shows, of course the people are gonna be like, "Where is so and so?" and whatnot. Like, and what made it worse in this show is that it's Nick Fury's response. He was like, "Oh, it's personal." Like he's like, "No, this is personal for me." I'm like, "Okay, that's some bullshit, but whatever." Like I figure what other response you're gonna have. But then you say it's personal, but then you wind up having
Sonya.
Gaia to fight your own fight anyway. So it's like, so it's like, oh, I don't want the super beings in there. So instead, I'm gonna have this other super being. Like, huh?
I
What?
don't know who Sonya is. Like this Sonya, the old woman from the UK. I don't know who she even is. Like, is she in the
I don't know
comics?
either. I would say this. So she was probably one of the best things about the show. Unfortunately,
She was hilarious. I mean,
yeah.
she was hilarious. She was engaging. But but to your point, this is personal. I'm not going to ask any of my friends to help, but that's not what you said during Avengers when you were like, I need all y'all's help. Like I need, but where's okay? So America is at stake. Where is Captain America? Like where is?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. We're
he
Sam
needs.
Wilson. Yeah.
I mean, he needs to at a pure minimum. Falcon needs to be in this shit.
Well, it
Minimum.
wasn't even just America though. Remember, it started in what, in Russia? Wasn't it Russia where it started?
But I'm saying, I mean, again, that's just, I mean, bare minimum superhero
Sure.
characters on Earth. Like Falcon should have been in this. Falcon should have been in this minimum. All right. I mean, so I mean, you could say the Wakandans, but they can be like, yeah, that's y'all's problem. This is America versus Russia. Neither one of those countries are ours. Like Spider-Man, no one knows who he is anymore because Doctor Strange wiped his memory. You can say Doctor Strange only deals with magic, so that's not his problem. You know what I'm saying? Bucky is gonna go wherever Falcon is at. So Bucky could have been in this.
I would say you could have had Banner. Maybe I don't know.
Banner is on a spaceship with his son. If you put the shows together, Banner's on a spaceship with his son.
And to be honest, this is why Secret Invasion right now does not work. If you would have put Secret Invasion in the midst of like Age of Ultron, perfect, right? You got the Avengers set up, right? And like it's just more of like, whoa, Black Widow, are you who I think you are? Or like, you know, all this other stuff. That's where it works best. But having like Secret Invasion, where it's just like more of like, I can infiltrate these randoms in the middle of the street. I'm like, am I watching Secret Invasion or am I watching Fallen with Denzel Washington? Like what the hell? Like it's just, I just didn't care. Like when some of these characters even died, I was just like, okay, like I don't know these guys. Like even at one point when Nick Fury's wife was about to get killed, I was like, she dies, and like it's just like you guys put these random people in, and I'm just supposed to give a shit about them. Like no, I only care about two people, and that's Fury, Rhodey, and maybe Talos. And Talos, oh my god, what they did with Talos, so disrespectful, man. Jesus, what you want to take this on?
No, just to bring him back didn't make any damn sense. Like I don't remember his wife even dying. Like apparently she got killed in the first episode. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was so quick, dude. It was I don't know, it was more laughable. Her death or Maria Hill's. Like hers was well, I would say Maria Hill's was probably more disrespectful. Because
that was disrespectful. That's a long-term character that you do like that. And again, I don't even remember them ever playing chess. Like there's a lot of like all of a sudden relationships that happen in this series that I'm like, where did any of this come from? Like I don't hit him and her and Fury at the same level that they're chess players and they're friends almost. I'm like, that didn't happen. And then but like she just get killed. But I'm like, that should have been Talos's wife, because again, she pretended to be Talos's wife. Like that would tie it back to Spider-Man at some level. Like then it should have been Talos pretending to be Nick Fury when he gets killed by Gravik or something. Like that would tie it together.
But you know what's even worse? That none of these deaths even matter. Like it was just like what I mean is like, especially the Skrulls. If a Skrull died, I don't care how good he is as a person. Who gives a shit is the reaction from everybody in the show.
Yeah.
Like Talos was like murdered, right? And I think Fury said one thing about that, and then it's like business as usual.
We got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, like even his daughter, like I think there's like showed like a little thing where like he was just like she was kind of at the funeral that what Priscilla, yeah, and she just kind of like moped around, and then that was it. I'm just like, and then how does the president pay him back with saving his life? I'm putting the law to make sure that all unauthorized space invaders to be crucified, we will kill you, and blah 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 blah. I'm like, motherfucker, you were just saved by one,
right?
What?
But hey, so you bring up Falcon and Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah.
What was that? Right? The immigration crisis, the refugee crisis, right? Because the blip, right? All the people came back. Where are they going to live? That never gets addressed in any other Marvel movie or TV show or movie again, just for the record.
Mm-hmm.
But when did the Skrulls, like, they should acknowledge that when half the universe's population was gone, that's when the Skrulls came to Earth. Because, like, how do you move 1 million Skrulls onto Earth and no one sees that shit? Like, that would have been a perfect time. And then shouldn't the Skrulls have gone away too? Some of them should have disappeared. Like, for Talos to be like, I don't know why you were so upset by the blip, Fury. Like, half of y'all people should have been gone.
I mean, obviously, I think to your point, I also think even what you're suggesting would have certain continuity issues. However, to that end, though, that would probably even make a whole lot more sense than what we were presented with, in a sense, right? Like, obviously, people would still question, like, okay, well, if Captain America like went away in the blip, or not Captain America, like Black Panther, and Black Panther went away in the blip, then how the hell did the Skrull know? But whatever, like but that still would make more sense compared to what we got currently.
What we got,
especially of what you guys try to sell us in Captain Marvel. Like, it just didn't make any sense. And it's just so frustrating, man, because the Skrulls were such a big deal in the comics, man. They were such a threatening force. And then and even the whole thing with Super Skrull. This is one of the reasons why I wanted them to wait to even do the storyline until after they established Fantastic Four. Like, I found it interesting when they announced this project. I was thinking, like, okay, is this where we get introduced to the Fantastic Four at all? Because that's the birth of Super Skrull. You know, Super Skrull, who just has the powers of all the Fantastic Four, and then becomes like a formidable foe. But guess what? He only has powers of 4 people. 4 people. 4. Not like everybody that just happened to hit ground at one point in the
like they gave these people power of every person who fought in New York City in Endgame. I want to specify this because when she pulled out the fucking frost giant power, I was like, stop it. Okay, you've gone too far now. Okay, there was no frost giants that came to upper state New York to fight Thanos. Not one.
Technically, you could say the end of, was it Thor? So I'm siding with you, but I'm just saying their response is, remember that post credit scene in Thor? Was it Thor 2 or 3? Where you saw like that one frost?
Two. When
they could be like, oh, they got the DNA from him. Then they'd be like, next.
Stop. Like, if that thing would have grew a frost leg or something, I kind of would have went with that. But I'm like, they want to believe that again after Endgame's fights, Skrulls were sent in to clean up all the DNA. Gravik made no effort to just take a sample just on his own because somehow he was still in the love with Nick Fury. That he waits till after that to be like, oh, by the way, I need all those genes because I can put them inside me. Also, Gravik's story, I swore Gravik's story was going to be that he was Fury's like fake alien son. That like
I thought that's the direction they were going with as well.
Right, especially with Priscilla, with Priscilla, they raised them, but but Fury was always gone. Like he was like, so he's angry at his dad.
Yeah, it was like I hate you, Dad.
Right, like that's why you can't just kill him. That's why you're trying to torture him and make him go through all this bullshit because you're like, Dad did this to me, and that didn't go anywhere. He was just an agent who didn't like killing one human.
I want to go back to what you were saying as far as like everyone who fought in the Endgame and DNA. Just think of how ridiculous that is. If you remember, there was more than thousands of people that was fighting in it. Think of all the Wakandans that was there, and everyone from like the Asgardians that was all there, and the mages and the sorcerers and whatnot. You telling me with all that shit that was going on, even with Thanos' people, you telling me those people were like able to not only swoop everything, they were able to like look at all these random DNA and they're like, okay, that just belongs to a fox. Discard that, and like, and they were able to like, oh, that belongs to Ebony Maw. Oh, that belongs to like. And everyone just gave DNA. Like, okay, they were like, okay, everyone got blood. Because what if Fury says like, oh yeah, everyone got blooded up. So, huh?
No.
So no,
that blood's
yeah, a little bit of blood. So now we got Drax, and then they know just looking at it because they're technically just that incredible. This belongs to a Drax, and this belongs to a Flora Colossus, aka Groot. Like, no, that could just be from a random ass freaking plant. Like,
yes,
it's just. I just even found that part just ridiculous, right? Forget the whole Frost Giant thing. You're right about the Frost Giant thing, but I just was like, hell no. How do you know this thing belongs to like a mantis, right? And then not only that, how do you even know just because you got powers, you know how to like do the
use it all of a sudden?
You just know how to do sleep.
It's like, oh, nigga. I was actually waiting since you bring up the sorcerers. Thanks for bringing up sorcerers. Why is it none of them had Doctor Strange powers? It was because like a squad. This is squad of them.
This is the only thing that they probably did right because his was magic based and it was not more of DNA. Ebony Maw's power was more of like who he is. Like he is naturally like that. If there was one thing that I would say that actually kind of did right was probably that thing. Either that or they just forgot to put it in there.
I think it's the latter. I think they're like they forgot to be like shit. We forgot because
my thing is
magical. You had so many magical beings. It wasn't just strange. It wasn't just strange. I mean, they brought sorcerers from like I thought around the universe, at least the world. Like Wong brought in all kinds of sorcerers, especially with the shield power.
I was shocked that one of them just did not know how to like shoot really well. I'm like, oh, that's Black Widow. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing.
Oh no, Hawkeye. Like she somehow one should have had an arrow because it's genetically. So again, just
Scarlet Witch, Scarlet Witch. They could have had
Scarlet Witch. Like you should have serious magical powers that's not even being used. But I mean, I'm not going to bring up the fact that White Vision is flying around aimlessly. I'm gonna let that one go. But like, there's a celestial sticking out the earth,
just like randomly up in the atmosphere,
just circling. Like, where the fuck is he at? But anyway,
I just had a visual.
The Skrulls don't bring up the celestial. They don't bring up the Eternals. They don't bring there's so many the alien beings that have come to Earth that they don't go. You might want to know about this guy named Thanos because he's been wiping out planet. In fact, they should have found a planet easy because Thanos has wiped out half the population in like a good part of the universe. So they should have found a planet pretty easily. Actually,
well, not to mention Captain Marvel. Didn't Captain Marvel go with them at the end?
That's what I said.
Yeah,
she's the one that flew out with them. She said, "I'm going to take them." That's why she left. She left her girlfriend and she left her little daughter or whatever, and she flew off with the Skrulls.
Yeah. And then now that we have Gaia, like, it's like, there's no more Marvel now, right? Because she has all the power. So it's like, what's the point of having any threat now?
She's everything.
She got a Drax arm now. Look out!
Hey, look out! And she works for the Brits.
Yeah.
So
she works for the Brits, and somehow, I mean, can we talk about how homeboy was able to take a freaking sword through the chest, but then laser eye, all of a sudden I can't heal from that, so now I'm dead.
Got a hole. It's a bigger hole. It's a bigger hole.
No, I was waiting. No, what he should have said was like, should have been like, you should have went for the head and be like, and so my thing was like, and it was like the thing.
Oh, hey, wait. Let's back this up real quick. Another thing. he shouldn't have had the healing powers in the first place. No one with the fuck, what's it called? Ah, damn it. Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3, yeah. There was like
Extremists. No one in that fight had the extremist powers. Nobody. The last time you saw that was Shang-Chi in one of the fighting rooms that his sister had. And that's the last time you saw any of those powers used.
And didn't they all explode too?
Huh?
And then didn't they eventually all explode?
Yeah, because they couldn't hold the power. So I'm like, so where was that? Like they should have combusted, because you can't hold that type of power. Like, damn it. Even Iron Man 3 proved that.
Speaking of Iron Man, okay, I understand that Rhodey was a Skrull or whatnot, but the one Avenger you have in the show, you don't have him suit up once.
No,
I was waiting for that. I was like, at least have him put on a War Machine suit. Like, even if he was going against Fury, and then maybe Fury is running away from his freaking War Machine. I was waiting for that. And they spent, I saw a thing, so because the show, they spent $200 million on the show. $200 million for these 6 episodes, right? In comparison, $200 million was also spent on the first season of House of Dragons.
Damn it.
Look at that $200 million they used for House of Dragons for a 10 episode, 1 hour each episode of House of Dragons, compared to 30 to 40 minutes of a 6-hour thing. My question is, where the fuck did that money
go? Not to the writers. It didn't go to the writers.
On Groot arm?
Damn it. It went to that special effect. It went to the last fight scene to put all those special effects.
But some of it, look for this.
Yeah. That's
200 million.
That's at least 100 million right there. That's 100 million right there.
Come on. Because Samuel Jackson ain't offering that much money to be in the show. Like,
no.
So it ain't him.
No. It ain't him. It's not him.
It ain't Don Cheadle. Like,
no.
What?
What's the? Oh, hey, thank you for reminding me. This does nothing to set up Armor Wars, because that's his movie coming up. Like, and then so at what point did the Skrull take him over, and how long has the evil Skrulls been working for the Avengers? Like,
that's a big debate right now, saying like, when was Rhodey taken? You know what I mean?
Like, was it when he hit the ground and then he went to the hospital, and then somehow he was flipped out and Tony didn't notice? I mean, I guess, but I'm like, this also, none of the Skrulls figured out where Wakanda was. None of them went to the continent of Africa and was like, yo, there's some advanced alien technology over here that we need to get into, because vibranium came from outer space. That's another thing. Yeah. No alien has ever come for the vibranium to be like, that was ours. Like, that's how we made our weapons, and I want my vibranium back, actually.
Oh, just wait. There'll be a Disney Plus show on that.
I just gonna put that out there. That I'm like, that's stuff. I was like, I don't know. But I'm like, there's so again. I would say at minimum, when you talk about aliens, there's a celestial, right? Like, there's no excuse that we don't acknowledge the celestial.
Freaking celestial still out in the Pacific or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just out in the ocean. They're like just chilling, and none of this is acknowledged by any of the aliens that come to Earth and be like, we just want to hang out here. And I'm like, for what?
But I don't know how. Here's the thing that's gonna be problematic, even more problematic.
They took him in the MRI machine a little.
I hope not. I know everyone's saying that. I hope not, because that means the development we've had with Rhodey from his
was a Skrull.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case, because that means the way he was grieving towards Stark, that wasn't else that happened. Even the great conversations he had with Sam in Falcon and Winter Soldier was just all for nothing, and it was just I hope they just say no, that we just took him after we took him after Endgame or something, like after the funeral. And he hears a whisper in the woods outside by Stark saying, and maybe they kidnapped him after that. Maybe I don't.
Hey, wait a minute, wait. What is his exact role in the government? Because I was confused if he was the secretary,
he was like acting president 1 minute, and then he was like whatever.
Is he the vice president? Is he the director of national intelligence? Because he's doing a whole lot of shit, and I'm like, what is your actual role in the government now, Rhodey? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like, why the hell? Like, so. Nick Fury at no point apologized for his actions, right? You saw Gravitas. I keep fucking up his name. What's
Gravik. Gravik.
Gravik? I don't know why I put an us in, at the end. But Gravik, he basically tells him in the last episode, like, yo, it's like, you know why I took on this face was the first person I killed. And then Nick Fury's like kind of does like an apology for everything that he did. But then it was all for nothing because that wasn't even Nick Fury to begin with. So my thing is Nick Fury is not held accountable for shit. This dude is just like, it makes me look like even more horribly on Nick Fury as a person. Damn. Like, how do you do that? How is that possible?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, why would you do that? This dude didn't apologize. He just went back in space.
He just said, fuck all this. I got to get up out of here. And yo, you don't even take, your wife does not come see you when you're supposedly dead. You don't even go see her when you come back. They'll be like, hey, babe, let's go to space, my alien wife. He can't take his alien wife to space. Like, she's too busy doing nothing. Like, they don't have any kids she's taking care of. She has a random house in Norway. Like, what are you doing that you can't take your wife with you? Like, I don't understand. Now all of a sudden she's with him now because she's useful. I mean, it's like, what happened? And then him kissing the scroll, bro. I was like,
yeah, was that supposed to be like what was that show? Alienation? Remember Alienation?
Oh, of course, yeah. I saw the show before I saw the movie though, because it came out when I was younger.
I wasn't sure they were trying to do a mix of that, and I mean, I'm not saying that they're alien, but you know how like the whole controversial kiss with Star Trek or whatever, with I didn't know they were trying to William Shatner and Nicole, yeah, where they were trying to go for like the
wow.
It was
is that
so
what we're doing,
weird.
Chris?
No, see, and that's why I try to say like the way they did the kiss, it was like they were trying to
make a message,
like a conversation.
Yes,
with
start a conversation. Can you love an immigrant? Can you love an alien? I don't even know.
Yeah, because it wasn't like they were trying to do the whole like hit. Like it wasn't like the whole Demi Moore kissing like Patrick Swayze in Ghost or
it wasn't.
Christina Ricci kissing Casper and then Casper turns into human. Like they didn't do the little panoramic shot. Like you know what I mean? It wasn't that. It was just more of like, here's the scene. We're closing in on it. Like how like this is supposed to be controversial, but it's just like,
so I don't know why they all of a sudden gave him a wife of 30 plus years. Like that shouldn't have happened. Like if he would have fell in love with Priscilla in this series, I would have been okay with that. They were co-workers, you know what I'm saying? Now he finally realizes he cares for her, some shit. Like I would have been okay with that. But they've been married for 30 plus years and he just made no effort to mention, and no one knew about this, right?
No one knew.
Not Black Widow, not Maria. Nobody. Like I'm like this. What kind of wife would put up with that shit? What kind of spouse would put up with that shit? Like, no. I'm finding me a scroll and I'm falling in love.
You know what type of wife would put up to that? A refugee who ain't got nowhere to go.
Oh, damn.
There you go.
Hey, you know what? You know what though? I like how Gaia stepped to her though. Like she did speak truth to her. She's like, he loves me. Really? Does he love you in your own skin? Fuck you, girl. You don't know how to keep a marriage together. I was like, but she's speaking truth though. Like how you say he loves you and you can't show him who you really are. Yeah. I did like that though. I felt that was solid. I felt that was solid.
Do you think Gaia? So all right. So this one. Let's okay. What do you think as far as like, I guess now like the future of Marvel? Like where do we go from here?
You will never see Gaia again. Like, let me. If she, I say it again. If I didn't, if she's not in the Marvels. This show was completely unnecessary. This is a slap in the face to any Marvel fan. And at a minimum, she needs to be in that movie.
I'll do you one better. I don't think you'll even see any Skrulls, and not even his wife. I don't even think you're going to see his wife.
Damn.
I'm gonna go. I know that's a hard take. If you asked me that 5 years ago, I'm like, impossible. Of course I do Skrulls. Now,
it's just gonna be Monica, Carol, and Kamala.
Yeah, you know, and that's the other problem I have too. Is just like where this is the issue. I'm now starting to see the issues now with the future of these Marvel films, unless they hear the feedback of, especially after like the way people are kind of bashing Secret Invasion, is that a lot of people aren't watching these shows anymore, right? I mean, I know Loki had a huge following at first, right? But like, you're now trying to make these movies bleed in with, make these TV shows bleed in the movies. So you're telling me that like someone like my wife is watching the Marvels, but she didn't watch Mrs. Marvel. She didn't watch WandaVision. Yeah, she saw Captain Marvel, but then now all of a sudden she's like, "Yo, who's these other two girls? Like, who they at? Like, who are they?" And then, especially when you got shows that are kind of lackluster. I mean, WandaVision was decent. I would say that's a decent show. You know what I mean? But like, Miss Marvel was like, right? And you telling me that you're forcing me to watch stuff that's just kind of somewhat subpar, or maybe I don't know, maybe like to your point, if there is some secret invasion stuff going on in this movie, I'm forced after hearing people like bash the show. I need to watch Secret Invasion in order for me to understand the Marvels. That's not good, man. That's just not a good practice. That's not a good business deal. And this is as far as Marvel goes. Like, I, I think you're playing kind of fatal. You know what I mean? And
I don't. So
yeah.
to your point though, I don't like Loki. Loki's is the next TV show in October, so that will be the next MCU. That'll be next MCU thing before the Marvels come, and that doesn't make sense because Loki's not going to tie into the Marvels. Loki hopefully will tie into Kang the Conqueror, maybe. Like it should give you more of his story. But what's before Miss Marvel should be
well, the Marvels supposed to come out. I think by now the Marvels was supposed to come out, but it got delayed because of everything going on. I think the strike, the fact that they can't really promote the movie, is why they're delaying it as well. Because of the whole strike. So if I had to give a little, like, actually kind of side with them once, it would, with the whole fact that it's coming out after Loki, it would probably just be that. But that's it. That's it as far as me defending it.
Well, no, so that could be. It could be. They had a plan, and then things happen, and they have to push stuff around. So I mean, so that could be. But either way, this did not lead into that movie. So again, if they don't talk about this whole negotiation thing with the Kree and Priscilla is not in that movie, if Super Skrull Gaia is not in that movie, this meant nothing. This meant nothing to the bigger MCU. The future of the MCU, everyone was a Skrull. The multiverse is going to pick up the best of the best characters, and we're going to start the whole Marvel universe over again.
Like, once again.
So this could be a they said this was a multiverse issue, and this was in our main universe. I mean, I guess Doctor Strange could come in.
That's so cheap, though.
That's cheap as fuck. But I mean, but they could. I mean, anyway, again, the way I felt about this is kind of how I felt about Black Panther 2. That it meant nothing to the MCU. Black Panther 2 was a beautiful follow-up to Black Panther.
Yeah.
But the MCU, it did nothing to connect to Endgame or even prep and barely prep for the future. But like it did not tie well into the bigger MCU. To me, it was a standalone sequel.
So this is what I'll tell you. So movies like when you have someone like Ryan Coogler or James Gunn, when they create movies like Black Panther and Guardians, they're in a way kind of going against what Kevin Feige wants as far as like kind of making them all connected. And yes, I mean, Guardians has some stuff that connects their stuff to the MCU, but they're trying to create standalone movies. Unfortunately, because we're being shot with one movie after another and then a bunch of other movies and shows and whatnot, and they're all connected to this, and there's a web connected to this, and then this Spider-Man movie connects to the multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange and all this other shit. That when you do watch like a Black Panther 2, when you watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which were both good movies, I would say especially Guardians 3, you're like even when I was watching Guardians 3 in the theaters, there were like some people in the theaters like, oh, okay, like, all right, well, what's next? Are they going to be part of the event? Like, what's going on with the event? And I was just like, I'm like, wait, why is he thinking that it's just going to be connected to the event? I was like, oh, because that's how Feige has been trying to like prep our minds. Unfortunately. And he kind of got his brainwashed into thinking like all of them should be connected. So when you got an actual visionary that's just trying to do something separate, of course it's like, to your point, with a TV show though, we know if it's a TV show, it needs to kind of connect to the movies or whatnot. But I feel like Kevin Feige's like seeing like his little house of cards starting to slowly fall a little bit, and he needs to kind of revamp, man. He just,
or just like say refocus. So I think again pre-COVID, post Endgame, I mean, Disney and Marvel were like, we are the standard, right? Like people
Right.
want more of it, right? So like they're like, we're gonna go full force and just push all this content at them. And with all that content, you get that big, like continuity issues are going to start popping up because you want to add almost all these different. Oh, and real quick. So Scrolls have been spying for 40 years, 30 plus years, right? That's the story, right? That means not only did they miss Hydra being inside a shield, they missed the Black Widows running around toppling governments. They also missed the enhanced individuals that we saw in Civil War that Bucky was the base of. Remember, because he sold the serum to males.
Oh yeah,
they were running around toppling governments. Like there's too many big international spy rings that these spies did not know anything about and made no effort to stop. And also, Hawkeye could have been in this. Hawkeye, Falcon, Bucky, and Falcon's new friend, the Latino dude. Like,
yeah. The new Falcon, right? Yeah,
minimum,
or even
minimum.
hell, like even maybe the sidekicks, like maybe the new Black Widow. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
man, I've seen.
He said,
Well, I don't know about that. Like, I think that's a stretch. I think that's a stretch right now. Like,
I hear you.
Like,
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? Like Falcon would have brought the rest of them. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Falcon would have brought the rest of them. That's what I'm saying.
But here's another problem that you said too. Here's I think Marvel's biggest problem. Endgame. Endgame, as even though Infinity Wars and Endgame were great properties, the problem was the stakes. There was no bigger stakes than Endgame. There was nothing, right? Thanos wiping out half of the freaking universe and coming back. How the hell do you top that? Like everything else is just like minuscule. Like, I mean, I guess so. And this is where I guess people say, okay, well, here comes the Kang dynasty. The problem with that was they did little to no, like, surprise, surprise, here comes Kang. Like they did from the very beginning with Thanos, going back from 2012, from the first Avengers. There was no, like, here comes Thanos. There's nothing with Kang. Like, okay, we got somewhat at the end of Loki, and then the next thing after that was Ant-Man 3.
Dude.
Like, come on,
not
dude.
how you do it. That's not how you do it. Like,
and unfortunately, when you do such a big villain like Thanos, you kind of have to always kind of do as big as a villain like that. So, in my opinion, I mean, because I don't even know how they're going to with this whole Kang thing. The Kang thing might be a disaster too. I mean, I love that. Battle World. Yeah, like the Beyond. See, and that's the thing I was about to say about that. They do Battle World. The only other villain I can think of that could probably save this at this point, who's probably bigger than Thanos, is Doctor Doom or Galactus. Most likely, I would say they probably need to go the Doctor Doom route, especially if they're now talking about the casting rumors of Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
Doctor Doom is literally the villain, like the only thing as far as stakes goes, where it's like, holy shit, this is bad. You know what I mean? And that's Doom. You know, and
so I mean, so Kang, especially for something like this, for the whole, like, he can be anyone. There's infinite versions of him. Like, he could have been some type of scroll. Like they could have kind of put him into this one. I think they, at least the name. Loki's definitely going to be in that. Like, he is the villain for that for a while. Which Loki's the only series that got a season 2. I mean, it's for the like they don't intend for these series to get a season, like,
what
ongoing series.
She-Hulk's not signed up for a season 2. We didn't hear anything for She-Hulk.
Stop.
Oh my god!
Like that. Damn it! I want Miss Marvel season 2. Loki and Deadpool is going to help rewrite the errors of the Marvel universe as well too.
I don't know about Deadpool, because Deadpool is like his own thing.
That's going to be its own thing.
It's going
to be its own thing. That's way too much swearing and stuff that I don't know if Feige's really going to be like, this is a direction we want to go in when it comes to the MCU.
However, I would say as far as, like, I mean, realistically, yeah, I would agree with that with Deadpool, but the way it's going about, there's no way they can do that. Like, Loki will be his own thing, and Loki will, in his movie, he is going to correct the Marvel universe, but I think it's just like we said, it's just going to be a standalone movie where he goes around probably killing off all the Fox characters that sucked. You know what I mean?
Daredevil, you think you mean the Daredevil movie? You said Loki. Loki's not getting a movie. Loki
no, I said Deadpool. I'm sorry, I said Deadpool. I meant to say the Deadpool movie. Like, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, Deadpool will probably go around killing off all the Fox characters, and
hilarious.
Yeah. From what we saw. So, unfortunately, because of strike, we're now have to wait even longer for that.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't. There's nothing. I mean, at this point, the only thing that you can do, I mean, I guess technically is in the Deadpool universe is, you got to release the X-Men at this point. There's not enough Avengers at this point. Like, are we supposed to trust our stuff on these kids? You know what I mean? Like,
So, well, again, so they said for the Kang dynasty, right? You're looking at Siri, Falcon as Captain America, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man is coming back. I mean, he ain't going anywhere. So, like, you got those. I mean, Thor is replaced. I mean, Valkyrie could. I guess I don't know. Valkyrie, maybe. I mean,
no.
that's another thing. That's another thing.
What's that?
The fucking Asgardians on Earth. They could have. One of them could pretend to be Valkyrie. Like they're refugees, right?
Yeah.
They don't mention that you made a home for the Asgardians. They got a whole amusement park and shit. Like,
yeah.
What happened to that? Like, they don't even acknowledge that. Like, that's what I'll be pointing my finger to.
Right. Yeah. It's
Asgardians showed up 2 seconds ago compared to us. They're doing just fine. I was like, and they could have been scrolls. They could have scrolled a couple of them.
Well, I mean, I guess that was kind of the issue that everyone had. Like, even right before before Eternals came out, people were like, before I even watched this movie, where the fuck were y'all? Like, when all this stuff happened, like, you know what I mean? It was like, we were told to never interfere. You know what I mean? Like,
so
kiss my ass. Like,
well, so again, that's why I can say again, Wakandans can always pull that card. Wakandans can always pull that.
It works well with Wakandans, but that goes with the issue of having characters that are so super powered, right?
Mm.
That's the problem about even having Captain Marvel. This is where I feel like they screwed up how they introduced Captain Marvel. I mean, Captain Marvel should have been the thing that kind of like literally brought down Thanos, in my opinion, right? And then y'all just say, hey, you think you're the only universe that has issues? I'm like, motherfucker, you from Earth. The fuck? You are from here. No, start here.
But
just like on the airplane. You help yourself first before you help others.
Hey, but remember, the reason she wasn't on Earth was because she was helping the Skrulls find a planet.
Which I didn't even do that.
Just remember that. The reason why she hasn't been on Earth for 30 years is because she's been flying around supposedly trying to help the Skrulls find a planet. She should be
court-martialed. She just rip her captain badge like, you court-martialed.
I was like, this don't make no damn sense. And then she said, fuck it. I don't want to do that. I was like, it doesn't, like, oh my God. And none of this is going to get addressed in the Marvel.
Oh, yeah. Let me ask you this. How the hell does Gaia have the power of ghosts? Ghosts, ghosts from Ant-Man 2.
Oh, Ant-Man 2. Stop it. Just
did you notice that on that little thing? Ghost's name popped up. I was like,
oh, stop it.
And she actually phased. You saw her phase.
Stop it.
Yeah. If you rewatch that fight, she phases.
Holes.
All right, so I had to go back to that.
I focused on the frost giant arm. That's why I was like, stop it. And actually the like I said, the extremist powers, the first one, I was like, stop it. Like this doesn't make any sense. And again, unless they specifically point out that they went undercover in the extremist project and pulled that out X amount of years ago. I will give you that.
See, and again, when you're doing this is why, again, they should have maybe waited until they started introducing the X-Men stuff. And what they should have done was throw, like, maybe watching like X-Men, right? Let's just say you watching a little bit of X-Men and throw like a little Easter egg stuff, like maybe Nightcrawler acts a little weird. And like, huh? And it's just not brought up, right? And then maybe same thing with Fantastic Four. Maybe like Johnny Storm is in one place, and then maybe like Brent Grimm's like, wait, I saw you over there, or whatever. Small shit where you're just like, huh? And then like 5-6 movies in with other movies, all of a sudden you see Secret Invasion, and then they show what happened in different movies, and you're like, oh fuck. Like, that's how you do a Secret Invasions. That's how you do a Secret Invasion. But this one was just more like, let's throw some shit on the script real quick.
So I don't, the comics book better than me, right? So even Civil War as done was not as big as it was supposed to be, right? Just because they didn't have the characters and that kind, you know what I'm saying? But it was a mini Avengers. Like, they brought all the Avengers that they could, right?
Yeah, it still worked. Yeah.
and it still worked. Like you could have did it. I mean, at a smaller scale, but you could have used the Earthbound Avengers. Let's just say that the Earthbound Avengers. Even She-Hulk could have got involved. Just like remember your own stuff.
Right.
Like make her relevant. Bring in She-Hulk. Bring in bring in Shang-Chi. Like you could have used these people who are not top A actors, but but still want a job. I don't know anything about Battle World, so this is for Chris. I guess.
So I mean, Battle World will be like part of like the they do Secret Wars. It's like so which is what they're working on. I can't remember if it's a TV show or a movie.
No, it's a movie. It's a movie.
Is it they're turning into a movie?
It's
it had to be a 2-part movie.
It's the Kang Dynasty, like part 1 and 2, and then like it's the next Avengers movie. So it's a movie.
Oh, okay. So I mean, Battle World is like literally for sport. Was it the Beyonder for Secret Wars? Like basically, it's just essentially it's to see which universe should exist. So he puts certain universes against the other universes. And that's where you see like the Avengers forcing to fight against this other crew who they don't know about. And they're like, who the hell is these Fantastic Four? And then like all of a sudden you see these X-Men characters like, who the hell, like what the hell is a mutant? Like stuff like that. And that's why a lot of people were suggesting like Battle World is like is when we'll finally get introduced to like the mutants, even though they already said mutants in Miss Marvel, whatever. Anyway, but like for real, maybe this time. I don't
like legit,
like for real.
I forgot. So maybe I don't know. That's a good
point. But they go to Battle World and they basically forced to fight each other essentially for the universes to stay alive.
Oh, sorry, that's what I was talking about. Secret Wars.
Yeah. Secret. Yeah. No. Yeah. She's right. Yeah, if they do it correctly. Which at this point I'm not that confident they will.
I don't even know.
Not anymore, man. Not after
I hear you
because it was so easy with Secret Invasion, how you could do it. You know what I mean? I'm not confident with Secret Wars now anymore. Like you know what I mean? I mean yes, they see Civil War they did a great job, but then it's just that decline, bro. It's just that decline went horrible, and then. I appreciate what they were trying to do with the AI work for the theme intro, whatever. I thought that was interesting in the sense of like just saying like, like to pretend to, like pretenders and whatnot. And, you got this whole this artificial thing acting as a writer to create this thing, you know what I mean? But I don't think it was that strong either. Damn. It's just, man. I mean, especially when you watch one of my favorite Marvel films, MCU films is Winter Soldier. Captain America Winter Soldier. That is how you do a spy thriller. That is how you do a spy thriller. Because the whole time you are like, who is part of Hydra? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then how you have that? How couldn't you do that with the Skrulls? That's such an easy layup.
Well, you got to bring back the Russo brothers, and maybe they got tired and shit because they did that.
But shouldn't that even be like a blueprint, even if you don't have the Russo? Like,
I hear you.
It ain't that hard, man.
I hear you, but it could
turn into a love drama, and then just more of like, Dad, I ain't talking to you.
I thought again they didn't even do that, and I thought they were gonna do that, and I would have took that better if he would have held Priscilla hostage as the mother that tried to raise him, but then go right, and then he kills her, right? That makes Priscilla relevant. Right. And then Fury has to come and and save the day and that kind of stuff. Like I would have loved something like that. Like I would have loved something like that. Yeah. I love the intro and the theme music. The final episode was garbage. Yeah,
absolutely.
The Fury love story was garbage. Damn. The final battle also garbage. Everything else was okay. But everything else was all right. You know what got me before we go? We gotta get to this terrible Witcher thing real quick. I gotta say it. Okay, the whole thing between Rhodey and Fury when they're doing the whole like, hey brother, let's have some stuff, brother. Hey, what's going on, brother? I'm like, you have never been in a scene together in over 10 years of movies. You have never seen Rhodey and Fury sit down and have a conversation of any level to be the point that they're boys and friends and they can just be brothers hanging out. And I'm like, stop it. Like, stop it. Like that plus the chess thing, I was like, you're doing too much.
I would say this. That was one of the, I would say there was like one of the highlights of the show. I would say is that dialogue between the two. Unfortunately, that wasn't even the real Rhodey. So again, conversation was worthless. It was like, it didn't mean anything. It's just like,
even more reason why it didn't make any sense. It wasn't even the real Rhodey, and
it wasn't even a real Rhodey.
And they weren't even friends like that.
Because they were dropping bars. Like, you're talking about some real shit. And I'm just like,
this is the same problem I had with the Falcon Winter Soldier. It was actually worse to me, like in this one. Like when they gave Fury this whole I was raised by a single black mother, and we had to ride the segregation train up the north and eating fried chicken and some other bullshit. I'm like, this is unnecessary. Okay, and it's not even consistent with the story that we got in Winter Soldier.
I will say this. Okay. I'm just all right. So this is where the one time in this whole review you might differ a little bit. I like those moments. I like the moments where, because at that point, Nick Fury does not look like this random off-scene character. Like he's more grounded. When you make him look grounded and him not forgetting that at the end of the day, he is a 60-something-year-old black man or whatnot, and he knows what it's like to be ostracized, just like that. And I thought that interaction with him and Talos was very strong. The problem was there was no lead up after that. You know what I mean? I thought those dialogue moments was strong. I know you don't like it because it's just like it wasn't brought up before, but trust me,
they've known each other for 30 years, Chris. You don't think
how does he not know that? Yeah. How's he not
right? You're talking to someone who had to flee planets because they were being oppressed. And you're telling me you had to eat fried chicken in the back of the bus, and I'm supposed to feel sorry for you or some shit? Like you, I'm like, we can pull the whole oppression card, you know what I'm saying, and see which one got the bigger joker. Like we could do that. And
at the end of the day, this man Fury turns into the oppressor in a way. He becomes
on top of that, he becomes the oppressor of these poor aliens. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up, dude.
And then when the war ends. When the war ends, it's just like just think on at the end of Civil War. What happened at the end of Civil War? Like the folks in the South, man, they were like, all right, they just want to like leaving and like disappearing and be like, oh shit, let me get out of here before I go to jail. What if Fury do? Let me go back up.
Let me get up out of here. Thanks, man. I thought it was just forced. It was so forced and unnecessary for two people. Again, been friends for 30 plus years. We would. How do you not know this? Yeah, we would have shared these stories already. And again, so also, again, it's like just because you're black doesn't mean you can't have a daddy. Fuck. Like you wouldn't be like,
oh yeah, sure. I forgot that's a huge thing, right? Yeah.
I'm like, the black fathers matter. Okay,
but you know who has a daddy? Those Skrulls. Apparently homegirl got a daddy. Taylor.
Oh, that's true. Hey, that's because
so green daddies exist.
Green daddies exist too.
Black don't.
I was so mad. I was so fucking mad. I was like, and then he was like, everything good about me is from my single mother and my wife, who's black, but not really. She's actually green. But I get it. Women made you who you are. Yeah. I get it. But I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Speaking of which, I thought we were going to see like a flashback. I thought it'd been very strong graphic. We saw like a flashback of him actually having to assume that body.
Yes.
That to me, that would have been stronger than him just talking about it.
Yes.
Like, let's see that.
Also, he's supposed to be this like hardened Skrull killer who like flew to Earth after killing 20 people or something. Like, I'm not sure why killing one human all of a sudden broke his heart, and now his revenge is killing all the humans, and somehow that makes it better. What are we what? Like, how do you put these stories together? Like,
it's like, you ain't give us our own planet, even though we've been living here for 30-something years. So now I'm gonna kill all of y'all humans and maybe start World War IV
or just slowly but surely. Yeah. You've already hold up. They have perfectly immigrated 1 million Skrulls into Earth. What are you even talking about?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot at the end they kind of showed like all of them like down in the it was like in the little tavern thing they showed. I mean, not in the tavern, you call it like the little tunnels thing that you saw all beings in there. So it's like it made me think like, are they trying to do some other stuff with the Skrulls?
Well, no, I think they're supposed to be all the people that they've already replaced. Because again, there's 1 million Skrulls living on Earth. So I'm like, you've already immigrated into the Earth. Like, what is the problem? Like, just shut the hell up and be like, I just want to be green every once in a while. Go into your house, turn green, and then walk outside, and you'll be fine. And oh, by the way, he spent the whole series looking at a human. The whole I barely saw you as a Skrull. So I'm like, you were not comfortable in your own skin, sir. Yeah. Anyway. That's it. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, Chris. I will see you for The Witcher. Let's
surprisingly even worse.
Oh yeah, by far, by far.
Yeah.
Like that's why we did this second, because I enjoyed this far better than I enjoyed The Witcher.
I know, right? Isn't that saying a whole lot? Isn't that
Damn it,
saying a whole lot?
damn it.
Yeah,
I was
man.
like, you know what? I'll watch this again. Actually, I didn't actually, because this was so bad. I didn't
It's
even
six
watch it.
episodes, 6 episodes on 30-something minutes, so it's doable, at least for the show.
You could, but I said nah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I had to watch The Witcher with the last part. Real quick. Anyway, Chris, I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, see you.
Let me do you like this. Anyway, I agree with you, David. The graphic storyline was garbage. His final villain speech to fake Fury at the end was garbage and a cliche. Yeah, it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on. But again, I hope the Marvels bring some of this stuff, make it relevant. So I hold my criticism, the rest of my criticism for that. Thank you guys, everybody, for hanging out with us. Again, please come hang out with us for The Witcher. We'll have some fun with that and pointing out the problems, and there are quite a few. So, and you know, Chris being a fan of the video games and stuff like that, so that'll be a fun discussion. So see everyone soon.